season. You fought the sheriff, lucky you're still breathing. Sheriff, AHL man of the year. 500 pro fights in his career. Got the record for most ice fights in a season. You fought the sheriff, lucky you still. We filmed the pod today. You listening tomorrow. The heavyweight champ, yeah, Sean McMahon.
Welcome everybody to an exclusive edition of The Sheriff. Boy, oh boy, do I ever have a treat for you. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it is very rare that I have a reoccurring guest come on my show. But man, do I ever have a big announcement to make. I had to bring this guy back, and we're going to get right into it right now. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls all over the world, I would like to introduce to you my guest today. He hails from Toronto, Ontario. He hails from Toronto, Ontario. At 6'1", 195 pounds, he is a light heavyweight. Woo! He is a former of the elite 1981 Wexford Raiders. He was drafted 30th overall by the Atlanta Thrashers. He is one of the original members of the Bad Boys of Hockey, the Danbury Trashers. He is a dedicated practitioner of Kriya Yoga, mindfulness, and meditation. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, my guest and new business partner, Mr. Luke Sellars. How are you doing today, my man? Now, first off, Luke, I have to mention, we have an absolutely explosive crowd today, man. I don't know what you think about this.
I don't know how you got all these 5,000 people out here for this.
It is absolutely packed here at Bottomline, guys. We are very, very excited. But Luke, I gotta get down. It is a hot one today. The sun is shining. The weather is sweet. We got the sun shining right into us, right off of Front Street in downtown Toronto. What better of a place at Bottomline to have this discussion? Now, Luke, I wanted to get into what we kind of ended up in the last episode. We got into some pretty important topics, but we had to be cut off just because I think we had broken a record for the longest show in Sheriff Podcast history. But what we were kind of getting into was the time in your life when you realized that you didn't have control, but you were also the solution. Do you mind getting into some of that right now, my man?
Yeah, for sure. I'll say it like this. I was blaming the entire world for all of my problems. What I looked at back then, a washed-up hockey player who didn't equate to what the expectations were of myself, my family had for me, and also the organizations that I was playing for. I got caught up in a lot of unhealthy behaviors, and that was diagnosed with different mental illnesses in my mid-20s. Back then, they weren't aware that concussions could cause these type of anomalies and issues. A lot have come out now and around TBI, traumatic brain injuries, and CTE, and these types of things. So I was blaming everyone for my problems. I was blaming the outside world for all of my problems. I actually have a documentary that we just posted today discussing a lot of these things. And I found myself there looking in the mirror one day and, again, blaming the world for all of my problems, thinking I got a raw deal and just that, my life was over. Basically, I didn't want to live. And something hit me. I realized that the man I was looking at in the mirror was the issue, was the problem. It wasn't the rest of the world. It was that guy I was looking at in the mirror. And for a moment there, I went into this state of like, man, what am I going to do? And then it hit me. It was like, well, if that guy's the problem, then he must be the answer. And from that place, things really started to open up. A lot of deep inquiry into Eastern traditions and practices and training in different Tibetan practices and Kriya Yoga, coming out of India, working with the Sufis, the mystics of Islam, and also down in the jungle with the shamans and the indigenous elders and that, and learning from the Native Americans and that too. So just bringing all that in and harmonizing it and allowing it to live and breathe in my own life and living my life in union with nature and meditation and really just getting to know myself. And it's amazing what's possible if we get right with life, because that's our true soulmate, our true life partner. This idea that there's somebody out there that's going to just make everything better it's a bunch of bullshit. Life is your true life partner, your true soulmate. And when we get right with her, all of a sudden things start to take care of themselves, because any way you want to look at it, it's taken at least 13.8 billion years for this moment to arrive. If you have a problem with this moment, there's nothing wrong with the moment. There's something wrong with you. So I think that's the first thing that's most elusive. Is just it is hot. Getting getting right with life, and then from there starting to work on your concentration, because Right now, the average attention span of a human being is 8 seconds. 8 seconds, and that's done by design. So working on being able to focus in one direction for a period of time and really just slowing life down. It's a long journey, but also a short one. So I'm just really blessed. I mean, to be at a point in my life now where every moment is sacred, even as these words are coming out of my mouth. It's the feeling this moment will never be here again. And now this moment, I mean, it's special, and we're conditioned to not live our lives in that way, and then all of a sudden it's over. So life's good. Life's beautiful. It's amazing, peaceful.
It definitely is amazing. It's definitely peaceful. And I mean, I heard a couple times the word blessed was mentioned. And I'll tell you what, man, I feel blessed. I think the audience has to feel blessed because we sure got some incredible advice and knowledge right now. So I gotta recognize that right off the hop.
Thank you.
That's incredible stuff.
It's real simple stuff. That's all that, it's real simple, life.
Absolutely. So one thing, Luke, I got to tell you, I got to be in the lesser average because I think that my attention span is less than 8 seconds, okay? But I was able to pay attention to that whole spiel because I love it. I love it, man. I want to learn more, and I know that the listeners and viewers are all hungry to learn more as well. So now, dude, you see the smile on my face. I'm very excited because there's a bunch of really cool announcements that are going to happen today. We have an announcement that we want to make. But what I wanted to do was I wanted the listeners and viewers to understand how important this is to us and how we really got to it from either side. Now, what I was trying to contemplate before the show is when I wanted to bring up the idea that I had, which was actually inspired by yours truly. I had the opportunity to start a team mentoring program this year called Chatting with the Sheriff. And Luke, I'll tell you one thing, man. Not only did I have so much fun with this thing, but I learned so much. And what I realized is that from when I started to the middle to towards the end, I felt that I really grew as a person. When I've met with you and we've talked about important things that are important to us and that we want to share with the world, I got that same kind of feeling, my man. You know what I mean?
Me too.
And so, yeah, no, and I appreciate you saying that because I feel a part of a team when I'm with you. I think our partnership is incredibly strong. There's a big team behind everything that we're going to do. Yeah. And
really big
we
team.
got to recognize that too. So now, Luke, let the listeners and viewers know just a little bit of opportunity that was inspired by you. My Chatting with the Sheriff, man. I got to talk to AAA teams, AA teams, very special teams for full 30 minutes. Got to talk to them about important things that I thought as a former player and as an adult now, that there's a lot that we can help the younger generation with. There's a lot that we saw, man, that we didn't agree with, but we weren't old enough or weren't experienced enough to make a difference with it. But now, brother, that we're older, wiser, and a lot more experienced, can we ever make a difference?
Hopefully.
I know that we can. One of the things that really gets me going is when I was doing those mentoring sessions, seeing the kids react to it, seeing them all feeling like they were a part of the program. I also went on the ice with these teams to try to add a little bit of, a little bit more credit to the mentoring session, which I think the kids and coaches appreciated. So now this is kind of my angle on jumping in on our opportunity.
Yep.
I know that you have a big angle on it as well, brother. I know that we come from similar backgrounds, but very different as well.
Definitely. Yeah, years ago I was playing in the American Hockey League for the Chicago Wolves, and we were touted as a team that was most likely, I mean, nothing's ever for sure in sport, win the Calder Cup that year. We were real good. And thought to have a real great culture within our team. And about halfway through the season, things weren't going so well for me. I had a knee injury that just wasn't healing, so I decided to have surgery on the knee. And post-surgery, the knee, I got a staph infection in the knee that went misdiagnosed by our training staff. So it has sat in my knee for about 10 days. Long story short, I find myself there in the hospital, and I was about 10 to 12 hours away from them amputating my leg because of how bad the infection was and all these medications they're putting me on. And, the injury wasn't the issue. The issue and what was most difficult, and I speak about this in the documentary, is that over the few-week period of time, I can't remember how many weeks I was in the hospital there, not one single individual from my organization came to see me. Not one of my teammates, not one of my coaches, not one of my training staff, not one of the owners, not one of the general managers. You know, and a lot of these guys are notable GMs in the NHL and that now. And in that moment, I'd never felt smaller, unseen, not supported in my entire life. And it was just so clear to me the nature of what sport culture is. I mean, we can sit here and try to dress it up as if, we're all love each other and, we play with all this heart and stuff, but it's a bunch of bullshit. Everybody's out for themselves. And not to sound negative about it, it's just what is. I have no bitterness towards sports or hockey whatsoever. I mean, some of the most formidable years of my life, absolutely amazing. But later in life, as I've got into what I've got into now, going through a lot of drug addiction and different issues and things like that, I've never forgotten that moment. And I commit my life now to living in a way in everything that I do in business and friendship, and that where I truly believe in my heart that every human being deserves to be seen, felt, heard, and safe to be themselves, to be able to share their own perspectives, to be able to share their own ideas about things, to not be cut down, shot down. And that's really the essence of what LIT is, which is a training company that mostly been running within corporate teams, and that and we're now bringing it to hockey culture here in Toronto. But not only that, we also have a whole kids program that a good friend of mine, Colleen Borges, and her daughter Amelia really helped get me out of my
Gotta recognize the team.
After studying under some great mentors and masters on this planet, which has really allowed me to get to a place of living in peace, and then I meet this 5'1" woman who looks at me and says, "Are you willing to suck at something?" I'm thinking to myself, what is she talking about? Next thing you know, I'm taking singing lessons with her. I'm dancing around. I'm all these right-brained things of more the feminine energy in that, which I can't tell you. When I sat there and took that first singing lesson, I was shaking, and it was just me and her in the room. And it's like, if you look at the way that if we look at men in hockey culture and that, the way in which everybody's so serious and so they look angry all the time. True. Like look at the bench in the NHL playoffs. Like, you know what I mean? Everyone's so angry. It's like, and if you win a hockey game, you can't celebrate it during the season because you got to prepare for the next game. And if you lose, you can't talk to anybody. I can never sort any of that out. It's like we're playing a kid's game, and we're taking it so seriously. So coming back around. The kids aspect of leaders in training lit, like thinking in the context of get lit up. We had a real good beta test this last summer and ran some kids camps and that. Now our focus right now is to penetrate minor hockey in Toronto first and foremost, because there is a massive issue with the culture of this game. There's a massive issue with the culture of minor hockey in this city. All I hear about from managers and coaches, and that is the amount of drama that goes on between parents themselves, with the coaching staff, within the team. These teams aren't functioning as teams, they're functioning as individuals, because every single parent and every kid thinks he's going to the NHL. Like a 9-year-old's not even thinking about the NHL unless an adult is making him think about it. He just wants to hang out with his friends and have fun. Yeah, like exactly. It's us, it's the adults that are the problem. Like putting all of our dreams and ideas upon these young kids. Yeah, some of them will get there, but at the end of the day, there is no destination in life. Even if they do get there, it's a drop in the water of their lifespan. It's 10, 15 years if they play a great career. And I see a lot of guys post-career that played long careers, they're lost. 50, 60 pounds overweight, not taking care of themselves. What I'm interested in is developing, in this context, gentlemen, young men that get to know themselves on a deep level. They can self-regulate their own thoughts and emotions. They can come to the table, be able to speak clearly, and really, and it's really inspiring too, because when we start throwing all of this stuff in and get these different teams to buy in that, it's amazing, because we take it back to the players. The whole LIT program is there's 3 pillars of it. The first is alignment. So you think about this for a moment, alignment within a team environment. If we use the context of minor hockey, alignment within the locker room of the players, the coaches and the players, the parents amongst themselves, the parents, the coaches, and the players. So alignment first and foremost. If you don't have alignment in anything, try to build a house. If it's off by a degree, right, you might be okay in the first couple floors or an apartment building, but next thing you know, you're like this, like the tower in Italy there, right? And that's a lot of what's going on in organizations, not only in hockey culture, but within any team environment, whether it be in corporate or I've run this program mostly. So alignment is big. So getting real clear on who is it that we choose to be. And in minor hockey context right now, that's typically defined by the coaches, the management, and the parents. Like, what about what the kids think? The 7-year-olds in that room, who do they choose to be? Who do they choose to identify with? What do they choose to be their ideal team environment? We've all seen teams go on these beautiful playoff runs and win championships, and you look at it and it's just like, what is it there? What is it about that team that's clicking in that way? And the next question is, how can you actually perpetuate, amplify that, and make it a constant every single season within the locker room? And there's a way to actually do that. There actually is, through simple communication, conversation. So alignment first, getting set on that. The second pillar is trust. When human beings do not trust each other at any age level, they will not give feedback because they don't feel comfortable or in a space where they can give feedback. And if you think about that in any team environment, if you got 20 guys on a team, and you got the captain, the 2 assistants, the coach, and maybe a couple other guys that are more alpha and dominant, they typically run the culture of that locker room. But you got that guy, maybe a first-year player sitting in the corner that doesn't have much of a voice. Well, that guy's got life experience. He's got a lot of real good stuff to say. So this whole idea of hockey culture of, when I played, seen, not heard is something you heard a lot as a rookie. Seen, not heard. Like, basically shut up, sit in the corner, don't say anything. Which there is context to that. But we're not dealing with, like thousands of years of, like, Qigong masters and lineages of that where it's like you're learning from, like the 93-year-old sensei who's levitating the mountain. I mean, okay, what? A guy's played 10 years in the NHL, and I mean, that warrants the fact that young guys can't have a voice in that. So, but trust. So building trust, and that happens in small increments of acknowledging one another for what we have defined or chosen as the ideal environment for our culture to run. And when that trust starts to really deepen through feedback loops and different exercises that we run, now feedback will flow in all directions, top to bottom. And this is when you really start to hold each other accountable and really start to have a lot of fun. And then the last thing, adding to it, performance dialogue. The ability to be able to communicate about performance in the moment, void of the emotional body and mental body being agitated, right? So in a locker room, or it's like going to war, we look at it from the perspective, you just got to suck it up. Well, yeah, but we're human beings, and we have emotions, and we have thoughts. And whether you like it or not, us men, 1,000 times more sensitive than women. Way more sensitive. So what do? We push it down, we bottle it up, we go to the bottle, we do whatever it may be. Everybody's got something. So these 3 things, alignment, trust, and performance dialogue. And when these things start to happen, especially in minor hockey, and then we bring the parents in, all of a sudden you have an ecosystem that is functioning in harmony, that all understand what the common goal is here. And it's not just for little Johnny who's number 6 and they think he's going to go to the NHL to get as much ice time as he can. Now, obviously that will happen because the cream will rise to the top, but it's about creating an environment where now communication can happen because we all have a common goal that has been defined by the team, as opposed to us just all coming in with our life's experiences, and then something happens. Well, you have your perspective on how it should have happened. I have my perspective. We're never going to be able to meet. We're never going to be able to meet as one because you have your thoughts, beliefs, opinions, and positions, the 4 ways we suffer: thoughts, beliefs, opinions, and positions. And I have my thoughts, beliefs, opinions, and positions. So we're going to sit here trying to sort out, then you get into conflict resolution, all this bullshit. There's a way to cut through it completely, and that's exactly what we're looking to bring forth. And because it's, it's winning. Winning is great, but I can tell you from my own experience in my own life, there is way more to life. It's like you're looking at that TV screen on the wall there thinking that's all of life. Maybe that's your your son who you think's going to, go play in the NCAA. And great if he does. Great if he doesn't. Seriously. In the grand scheme of things, that box on the wall that we think is all of life, that's just the direction you're looking in. The rest of the room is consciousness and what's actually going on. It's like, time to show up to the party, everybody, because we as a human population on this planet are missing it big time. There is so much beauty around us, and we're just looking in this direction. It's like we're looking through the knothole of our own pain. So,
well, first of all, I gotta give a little bit of applause to that. There's a lot of things that are happening in today's sports world. There's a lot of things that are making hockey more inclusive. There's a lot of things that are changing with the culture. But Luke, to me, this is the most important. This is the most important change that needs to happen, is the culture of this game, the way that things actually operate in the dressing room, within the teams. I can't tell you how accurate you are, brother, to a minor hockey team that has the captain, the 2 assistants, the coaches, and maybe 1 or 2 other guys. They get all the say. No one else really has a voice. I learned this firsthand when I did this mentoring, chatting with the sheriff. I had the opportunity, where is it? The Don Mills Flyers. I had the opportunity, the U16 team. I went into that dressing room. What did I notice? Shamar Moses and the other letters, they were the dominant figures. But what did I see in the middle of the dressing room? Guys that were kind of keeping to themselves. They seemed like they were kind of, more introverted. And so what did I do when I saw that? I kind of pointed them out. I told the one guy that he was looking at me a couple ways, so I wanted to make sure that when we went on the ice that he wasn't going to knock me off my skates, that I wanted to make sure we were buddies. And I think he appreciated getting that attention.
Of course.
He appreciated being part of the discussion, not just Shamar and all the the more dominant players. So I can't tell you how accurate you are, man. I know the listeners and viewers are like, yes, he's right.
Well, you're sorry, keep going.
No.
No, you're spot on. It's in using the context of a professional locker room or a hockey locker room. The interesting thing with sports is there's nowhere to hide. In life and in business, you can hide, right, and still get by. In sport, you can't. There's nowhere to hide. And if you went through all 30, however many teams are on the NHL now, and went through each locker room and individually spoke to each player and asked them, do you feel that you're a leader of this team? I guarantee you would not get yeses across the board. And that's a huge problem. Because if every individual on that team does not see themselves as a leader, right, then they don't feel that they have a voice, which basically means that they're not being seen.
Yes.
Right? When we all take on, it's not ownership, when we take on the responsibility to leadership, now all of a sudden you got 20 leaders in the room. It's not just about the coach holding you accountable for, screwing the pooch, we'd say, not working hard or doing whatever it is. Your teammates are. And your typical dialogue within any team environment, 6 negatives to 1 positive. This is because you have roughly 70,000 thoughts a day. 95 to 98% were the same as yesterday, and 70% of those have been conditioned to be negative. All you have to do is look at a TV screen right now. Everything you see is negative on there for the most part. On the news, look out in the world. This is the way that the human brain has been conditioned. So naturally, we're going to be communicating in this way. And this doesn't mean that someone's coming into the locker room and yelling and screaming at a teammate. It's, oh man, it's raining outside. Oh, the coffee's cold. Like this type of communication, we got to flip that on its head. We have to 6 negatives to 1 positive. And that's where the framework of LIT and what we've developed actually breaks everything down and brings things together, so that feedback can flow in all directions, so we can have trust.
Now, and thank you for sharing that, brother. It's really, really important. Speaking of breaking it down a little bit, I kind of wanted the listeners and viewers to kind of get an idea of some examples that may be discussed within this program. So I was trying to think of the best example that I could bring to the program, which was what I was doing in the chatting with the sheriff, with going over 3 of the most important things that I believe in life,
for sure,
which is integrity, empathy, and gratitude. Okay, so now these
which are words that are like empathy, not really thrown around a hockey locker room very often. It needs to be.
That's exactly what I was just about to get into, brother. Because the thing is those words, if we think about them, they're mentioned a lot in life. If you're younger, you hear it from your parents, you hear it from your teachers, maybe once in a while from your coaches. But what does it really mean? What does it really mean, and how can we apply it to sports? So when I actually did these exercises, the kids really responded well to it.
Brilliant.
Like the examples that they used, I got them all to kind of use examples. With integrity, it's pretty easy. We're all hockey players. We're all part of a team. We're 20 soldiers that are part of the war in the Army.
Yep.
So now, if I show up to the rink, if I've had enough sleep the night before, if I've eaten all the right things, if I have the right mindset, my integrity is strong. I'm ready to play. I'm actually coming to the arena 100%. If every person on the team can say that, then the team most likely is going to win. We got to have empathy for our teammates, coaches, friends. An example is that, look at a person like me. I'm high strung, I'm hyper, I'm always trying to be positive, okay? If I'm walking around moping in the dressing room, you know something's wrong with me. One of my teammates comes to me and says, hey, Sean, what's the matter, buddy? You seem down. Oh, my buddy's grandmother died yesterday, man. It's hitting me a little bit hard to see him sad. I'm just a little out of it. Well, Sean, you know what? We have your back. We're all behind you. We're all part of this army. Put that aside for a second. Work with us towards something special, and everything is going to work out. if you were to hear that from your teammate,
beautiful if it happened that way, right?
When you were 12 or 13 years old, if you were to hear that from a teammate, how would it make you feel?
Make you feel part of something, make you feel seen, make you feel loved, make you feel held, which is at that age. I mean, we're all yearning. We're all, whether we talk about it or not, as men, right? We get convoluted into trying to act tough and have it all figured out. But it's what we all want. We all want to be loved and accepted. Every human being.
Now,
beautiful. It's brilliant.
Feeling that way, would you not want to show something in return, saying, wow, do I ever feel special? Yeah. These guys are all telling me how big of a deal I am to them and the team. I got to show them something in return. That's where the gratitude comes in.
Yep.
The gratitude comes in. I'm going to give 110%, no matter how bad I feel about something. I'm going to give everything to my team because I am showing gratitude to their empathy for me. When you apply this to sports teams, it's magical. And I'm very, very excited to have this implemented in the program.
For sure. It's, again, when we focus on behaviors first and outcomes second, the outcomes, can be never ending. When we're solely focused on the outcome of something and not so much the behaviors, this is the missing piece here. And this is what this whole program is about, is behaviors first, outcomes second. And the culture of hockey right now, it's an interesting one. This, us coming together again like this, Sean, or as I call him, Le Sheriff in French. It's, when you're not a guy that I knew, we knew as kids, like ran past each other, but never really knew each other. But always a guy that I'd heard about when I was in the American Hockey League, more so because of how much you were fighting, which is just astronomically crazy. That I said this in the last podcast. I got to say it again. Like 55 fighting majors in a pro hockey season, and this guy's also the man of the year 3 years in a row, which is basically the humanitarian of the year in the American Hockey League. And I just always had this thing. And then I started to see what you're doing on social media. I'm just like, man, I like this guy. Like you can tell he's got a pure heart and he actually cares. So then coming in and us getting involved.
That 20.
but it's so it was like it was, and I think I even reached out to you. I'm like, I'd love to come on your podcast, and I've never done that. And I've been on a lot of podcasts. It was just like, I just want to sit and hang out with this guy. And now the friendship that's developed. You're such a kind-hearted soul, man. And I'm so happy that we can come together and really work in this way. And listen, let's face it. Right now, in hockey culture on this planet, you have 3 of the biggest stars that have ever played the game: Wayne Gretzky, McDavid, and Austin Matthews, all promoting gambling before Hockey Night in Canada. This is absolutely astronomically ridiculous. I don't know who's running these guys' camps, but they need to all be fired, literally. Like, you're not making enough money. You're going to sit there with 13, 14-year-old kids about to watch a hockey game, talking about betting on DraftKings and then showing you the line. Yeah, they might not be old enough to bet, but they know how to use a phone, and trust me, they can steal credit. It's ridiculous. It's that the culture of hockey has gone right into the gutter. So this is so needed, so needed. And I am passionate about it because it's bullshit. It's absolute bullshit.
I can feel the passion. I agree with you. I absolutely love the energy. Another thing that I kind of wanted to get into, Luke, here, because this is very exciting to me. Like I'm sure that the viewers and listeners that are parents are pretty excited about this type of topic. Most players are pretty excited about this type of topic. The only person that I could see that would be the selfish player that really doesn't want to be part of it.
Which is the beauty of it, because it pushes pushes those types of guys out. They either got to get in line or get out of line, which can be quite difficult, right? But that's the way that it is. One bad apple ruins everything, and that can be looked at from different perspectives. You got that guy that's always bitching and moaning, or that guy that is always thinking he's the center of everything. And that, it's all of this. It's convoluted. We see it in life, in our relationships, in our marriages, in our families, and that it's like can't we all just get along? We've heard that over and over again, but like when we actually put time and energy into the behaviors and put time and energy into our own self-care, now we can show up, be ourselves, and this is when things get real fun. Really fun.
Things get really, really, really fun because, brother, for me, and I know it is for you, we're career-oriented. We want to make this part of our career. we want to be able to give back as much as possible. We had a lot of experiences that we went through that we can help the younger generation with.
Most definitely.
And all that kind of stuff really excites me, brother. I cannot wait to get started into this type of program. And I'm telling you one thing, the giving back is, like I said, it's right at the top. But the biggest thing for me is having fun, though, Luke.
Well, it's the whole point of life is to have fun. And I think we've lost that as adults, right? We become so rigid and so hard and so let's deconstruct all that. You know, it's like we're here to, and yeah, your life right now, you might be suffering, you might be having all kinds of difficult things going on. However, you can still choose to look at it from different vantage points, and in time, you know, ask for help, whatever it may be. In time, if you stay true to the path of getting to know yourself, being right with life, and truly, most people, you know, I got to get that next car, make more money, or I want to get a bonus, or, you know, I got to get a raise at work. It's like, consider that the reason you're here is to research, experience, get to know where you come from. Where you come from. It's so simple. And where you come from, first and foremost, your body comes from the earth, goes back to there when you die. Start there. Go sit in nature for an hour a day. Commit your life in research to the origin of your existence and where you come from. And I can assure you that is not some old white man sitting up in the clouds or sitting up with white beard on a cloud, or the 3,000 different gods of Hinduism, or whatever it may be. It's just not the way that it is. It's inside of you. It's not out there. You don't need to seek help and try to get your life fixed. You got to just get right with life, get right with yourself, and choose to explore where you come from. That's it.
And yes, absolutely. Dude, this is very, very powerful and important stuff. I'm checking some of the comments on the show, and there's a lot of people that are like, how do we get signed up with this? How are we doing this? How do we get a hold of you guys?
You know, I think what will happen is this will be a program that I mean, we have a team. I'm not going to mention which team yet, but that we're already locked in at to run this, which would basically be the first session we've ran in the Toronto area here, and I think it'll be something where the whole organization will want to jump on board and not want other organizations to have this, because it is that X factor that is missing within team function. It really is, and I know it because it's tried, tested, and true. I mean, I took a business that was doing $300K a year to $800K in 12 months. Just by introducing this framework, and a multitude of different success factors and all that kind of stuff. Not that it's about money, but the interesting thing is when you focus on behaviors, the outcomes take care of themselves. It's like if you get right with life, that's the apex of the umbrella. Like if you're there, then whatever's happening in your life, you got to come back to that point. Well, wait a minute, I'm accepting life as it is. I might not like how it is, but I accept it how it is. Yeah. It just completely lessens the sting of everything, if that makes sense. So.
Dude, I honestly appreciate the insight. I've learned so much more. Yeah. And we're talking almost every day. Yeah. And I learned more today than I knew yesterday. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you, brother. I really appreciate you.
Of course. And like, Luke, like the other thing is like, I do appreciate you sitting, because it makes me look a little bit bigger. Like I've had my younger brother and stuff on the show, and I've kind of looked a little tiny, so I appreciate that too. But in all seriousness, I
didn't want to get body checked or punched out or something. I figured if I'm sitting down, you'll take it easy on me. Yeah,
but in all honesty, man, I mean, the modern hockey family has a lot to look forward to, Luke. I'm gonna have to, with all the comments and stuff, like this is a program that we are starting. There's gonna be a lot more information given out of how it could be interacted with, and I'm really looking forward to it, bro. But like another thing that I wanted to talk to you about while I have you on the show is, you look like you're in really good shape. I'm gonna try to recruit you for a senior team that I'm gonna be playing for this year. So just know that I'm gonna be on you for that as well.
You'll be getting crickets as responses to those messages.
So just know that when we might come back, maybe we'll be announcing that we're teammates. We'll see. Yeah. We'll see how that goes.
My exercise these days is a really close friend, Sifu. He's actually will be involved in this program at some point. Rupert Harvey here in Toronto. Sifu is a master in kung fu and qigong, so training in the park with him and that's my flow of exercise these days.
That's pretty cool,
hearing
dude.
the birds sing, feel the earth under your feet, being in a cold rink, putting hockey equipment on. No, thank you.
All right, well, hey, we're gonna help in a lot of ways. Maybe for Luke, it's not playing, but we're gonna be helping a lot of ways in the hockey culture, dude. I feel fulfilled releasing this information to the hockey world. I don't know about you.
Yeah, man. It's I love life, and I love spending time with you and all the people here that just such beautiful people. Even Bottomline Sports Bar, I'd like to just shout out to thank them, and you're doing beautiful stuff here, man. It's it's a while back I started to commit to the practice of daily consistent imperfect action. Think about that for a moment, right?
It sounds
just keep showing up, having fun, man. It's what you're doing, right? And this is what it's about.
Awesome, buddy. I appreciate you coming on. Officially, the most appearances on the Sheriff Podcast,
which is
Mr. Luke Sellars.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming on.
Thanks.
I also, just before we shout out, I want to give a shout out to one of my newer sponsors, Jason's Moving. Okay, guys, so look up Jason's Moving on Facebook and Instagram. And guys, I want to thank the listeners for tuning in to another episode of the Sheriff.
And actually, one
and yes, Luke, please.
one last thing.
Please.
I'm not one that usually does shout outs, but I will for this. Drop in August 1st, Vibe Herbs Meditation Mindfulness is a business we're launching. It's been a while in the making, and high frequency herbs that for an expansive lifestyle, along with different practice techniques that assist you, guide you to be able to live your best life and live in harmony and friendship with yourself. So reach out if you're interested in any way, and the website will be dropping soon with where you can order and all that kind of stuff.
I do have some experience, ladies and gentlemen, with the natural herbs. I do currently take them. It does work. Please get on board.
Yeah. Thanks, Sheriff. Appreciate it.
We'll see you next time, guys. Woo!
Thanks for tuning in, baby.